or Jaylen Brown. It's either Jayon or Jalen. But either way, his last name is Brown. So you've got those two young stars in Boston. Pascal Siakam, you've got a good point guard up there in Toronto as well. Fred VanVleet comes on when he needs to. This is going to be a tough road for the Bucks. The Celtics are going to be a very tough out for whoever plays them in the second round. Speaking of the Raptors versus the Nets. Now, the Nets have been playing very well as of late. They pushed Portland. They were in the lead. I do not know that this Nets run is going to last any longer. I've got the Raptors in 5. The Nets may squeeze one out strictly off of just their heart. They seem to play very well together. When their stars, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, aren't there, the Nets seem to play freely. They seem to play for each other. I hope that doesn't change, because when these two players come back, if Kyrie Irving can get himself under control, if Kevin Durant can come back healthy, these two will make the Nets a dynamic, extremely difficult team to have to deal with in the future, and probably a championship team in the near future. I love what the Nets have around them. I love the young talent. I love the energy. I love the attitude. It just seems like when stars get put in place, Russell, when he came in, the Nets did a great job because that was one. They lost him. They still did a good job. Now you're bringing Kyrie Irving, who is a cancer to whoever team he goes to. He has proven that. He's difficult to deal with, difficult to play with, difficult to coach. And you have Kevin Durant, who also is very difficult to be with, very difficult to deal with. Nets, I give you one game strictly out of the passion that you play with, but this is going to be an easy cakewalk for the Raptors. And I did just get the NBA playoff bracket sent to me, the full bracket that officially came out on NBA.com. So the Raptors will be facing the Celtics in the second round, which will be an incredible matchup, incredible for TV, but it bodes well for the Bucks because now the Bucks don't have to face either one of those teams. Now, I do not know if the Bucks want to have to face a Miami Heat team. That's definitely not an easy out, but Bucks are going to be playing either the Celtics or the Raptors to get into that final game, which are both very tough teams. Moving on to the West side of the bracket. First and foremost, the Los Angeles Lakers. We do not know who they will be playing. The Portland Trail Blazers and Memphis Grizzlies play today. If the Memphis Grizzlies win, they have to win one more. Portland only needs to squeeze out one more victory. Lakers in 6. Portland is good enough with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to win a couple games, but at the end of the day, they do not have anybody to check LeBron James. They do not have anybody to check Anthony Davis. Nurkic, as well as you have been playing, Anthony Davis is too much for you. He's too fast. He's too quick. He's too explosive. LeBron James, now that Trevor Ariza isn't there, they have no one that they can even throw at LeBron James to slow him down. The two guards are going to get into foul trouble. Damian's going to be asked to do way too much like he has already been doing. It's just too much. It's a burnout. We've seen it happen with James Harden. When you get to these playoffs and you're continually asked to drop 61 every single night, it's too much of a burden for almost any player to bear. Michael Jordan didn't even do it. Wilt Chamberlain did, but Wilt Chamberlain was playing against little children at the time compared to him. I actually think this is a blessing in disguise for the Los Angeles Lakers. Having to lock in earlier, having to lock in to a team the first round will make you only better the second round. The Lakers have the toughest road to the playoffs. Their next matchup is either between the Thunder or the Rockets. Then they'll have to play a Clippers team or a Nuggets team in the next rounds after that. The Lakers have the toughest road. They're the only one that don't know their opponent. But the Blazers are a blessing in disguise for these Lakers. Lakers in 6. They've got to lock in early. They'll get their offense under control, especially against Portland, who's the third worst rated defensive team in the entire league. They're going to allow the Lakers to put up massive amounts of numbers. They're going to try to just outshoot them. This is not going to go well for the Portland Trail Blazers. Damian's greatness will give them at least 2 games, but I give them no more than that. This next matchup is very interesting. The Houston Rockets announced that Russell Westbrook is out for a strained quad. He will be hit and miss in this first round of the playoffs against a Thunder team that is not only one of the biggest surprises of the NBA, but Chris Paul is playing like vintage Chris Paul. They're 6th in the West. Chris Paul goes there. They lose Paul George and Russell Westbrook, only gain Chris Paul, and they make it all the way to 6th in the West. The Rockets, if they do not have Russell Westbrook, he is the key to these Rockets. If they do not have Russell Westbrook healthy in the first round, the Rockets are going to be a first-round exit against the Thunder. Or James Harden will exert every single bit of his energy and drop 59 every single night, and then there'll be a second-round exit to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Thunder need Russell Westbrook in order for this train to keep moving, in order for this momentum to keep moving, in order for them to beat the Thunder in 6. They've got to have a healthy Russell Westbrook. So this one's the only one that I have an asterisk next to it. If the Thunder have a healthy Russell Westbrook by at least game 2, or not the Thunder, excuse me, the Rockets have a healthy Russell Westbrook by game 2, the Rockets will win in 7. If they do not have a healthy Russell Westbrook in game 2, by game 2, the Thunder win this in 7. It's that close for me. The Thunder are just playing at such an elite level right now, it's hard for me to discount what they're doing, what they've done, what Chris Paul has been doing. But if Russell Westbrook is there and healthy, it's hard for me to count the Rockets out. Excuse me. It's the problem when Russell Westbrook played for both teams. It's now driving me up a wall. Both players did, Harden and Russell. Gosh, those were great years. How they didn't win a championship, we will never know. Well, I know. It's called LeBron James. But anyways, that's really how close it is for me. Healthy Russell Westbrook leads the Rockets to a second round. Non-healthy Russell Westbrook or no Russell Westbrook at all, Chris Paul leads the Thunder to the second round. The next matchup is very interesting as well because we had such an incredible overtime game with these teams already. The Nuggets versus the Jazz. Now here's what I'm going to say. Nikola Jokic has been playing out of his mind. Jamal Murray is finally back and healthy. I don't know about their other 2 starters that are out, if they will be back in or not. But the Nuggets are a deep team. The Nuggets do have the potential to really make life a living hell for these Clippers in the second round. It's just, are they healthy? Are they going to stay healthy? Can they get everybody in their lineup? They were toe-and-toe with the Lakers and toe-and-toe with the Los Angeles Clippers before they sat down their starters in the whole fourth quarter. Now, I know that's rest. I know that a lot of them are injured. They're banged up. Nuggets, I like you over the Jazz in 6, simply because the Jazz are way too inconsistent. Rudy Gobert is going to get eaten alive. He had a very good game last time against Nikola Jokic before Nikola Jokic fouled him out, which is what I'm worried about when it comes to Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell was incredible against them. He will continue to be incredible, but their role players around them just don't have what it takes to really push the Jazz past the Nuggets in 6. This last matchup in the bubble might be the most intriguing first-round matchups. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers. There's one key to this that will make this an interesting series, either good or bad. Luka Doncic has to play like the superstar that he is in order for these Dallas Mavericks to push this thing to either 6 or 7 games. Porzingis has been playing at a very high level. Porzingis has been playing consistent. He's been scoring the ball. He's been rebounding. He needs to be a little bit better defensively. But Luka is the key. The last matchup they had in this bubble, they had a very good chance of beating these Los Angeles Clippers if Luka would have just hit his shots down the stretch. He took 2 very poor fadeaways towards the end of the game that gave the Clippers wide open fast break shots. Luka is the key for these Dallas Mavericks to push this game to 6 to 7 and maybe sneak away with one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen. The Mavericks are no pushovers. They can shoot the ball, they can rebound. Porzingis has got to be a little bit more consistent, and Luka Doncic definitely has to be more consistent and has to play like the superstar that he is. I know he's young. I know that's a lot of pressure on a young Luka Doncic, but in order to be great, you've got to perform great. You've got to perform at times where you may not even be ready to perform them at. A healthy Luka Doncic and a healthy Mavericks team will make the Clippers' life a living hell. if they play consistent, if they continue to play tough. That being said, the Los Angeles Clippers are just playing a little bit too good for me right now. There's no way I can pick against them. The Clippers are going to take this thing in 6. If Luka can ball out, if Porzingis can continue to ball out, those two superstars, it could go to 7. I would not be shocked. It could be a very interesting first round matchup. And the Clippers, if they are sleeping, if the Clippers aren't ready, if they're not shooting at a high percentage, the Dallas Mavericks can jump out to a 2-game or a 3-game lead, and then the Clippers are playing from behind, which the Clippers are not keen to do. You don't want Kawhi Leonard having to put an extra 10, 15 minutes on his legs that he doesn't have to, because then he'll sit out the whole next series for load management. Well, there you have it. That is my first round picks. Make sure, we've got it on record now, so make sure you follow along. We can see where I'm right, where I'm definitely probably wrong. But this is exciting. If you're an NBA fan, this is exciting. The playoffs happen this week. It's not usually like this. So it's rare, it's unique, but it's fun, it's exciting. I'm excited for the playoffs. This is going to be very fun. There's play-in games today. And by play-in games, I mean the Portland Trailblazers are going to beat the Memphis Grizzlies to play in and get into that 8th seed and play the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round. But make sure, hey, if you enjoy these NBA bubble episodes, make sure you're listening. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Your support is what keeps us going. Your listens, your downloads, your sharing is what keeps this Locker Room podcast going. It's what keeps us being able to do this and bring as much content to you and as much as we can. So really, really do appreciate it. Make sure you continue to follow us on our social media, The Locker Room Podcast 615 on Instagram, TLR with Jacob on Twitter, and The Locker Room host Jacob on Facebook. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'm Jacob Courtwright, and this is The Locker Room.